Hello, my love. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you have not met me before, hi, hello. My name is Rachel Nichols. I am a women's hormone coach, and I help women move from burnout into overflow. Today, we're going to be talking about how to move into overflow from burnout, specifically by creating this concept of feminine spaciousness within your life, which allows for you to live in congruence with your biology and step out of your masculine energy to unleash more creativity, help heal your hormones, and ultimately lead to a more fulfilling life. Today, we are going to be talking about novels. I'm going to be giving you some book recommendations. None of them are self-help, self-development. We're also going to be talking about why that is and how this transition into fiction and novels actually is going to really bring you out of burnout and rebalance your hormones. They are connected. So most women that I work with as a hormone coach are living outside of their design, because when we live outside of our design, that's when we get low progesterone, high estrogen, high testosterone from all the stress that we're constantly inundated with. A lot of the times women in our modern society are also navigating a lot of subconscious beliefs that connect our worthiness with our productivity, thinking that in order to be worthy of something, I have to be producing all the time. A lot of what we're seeing in today's culture, and especially with my practice working with women who have hormonal imbalances, is that we're living outside of our biology. Women are specifically, anatomically, created to be spacious. We are created to be spacious. Men have a penetrative energy, right? We can look at this with male and female anatomy and masculine and feminine energy at the same time. Men are created to be more penetrative with their energy. Women are created to be more receptive with their energy. So I think it's really healthy and normal for you, if you are like building a business or you're a career woman or you're working, to be in your masculine energy and have a masculine frame. However, what I'm seeing the imbalance really coming from, especially with my clients who are high-level female entrepreneurs, is that we are taking this penetrative energy, this masculine energy, and we're actually translating it and bringing it into every aspect of our life, every aspect of our day. So my first question for you, and something to reflect on, is, am I in my feminine energy at any point during the day? If so, what does that look like? A lot of the times when I ask my clients this, they're like, yeah, I'm in my feminine energy at the end of the day when I've like clocked off of work and I'm laying on the couch watching Netflix, or I'm reading that 5 a.m. club, or some book about something that's going to be developing their brain, or they're doing like their Pilates class and then they're doing their 20-minute Joe Dispenza meditation, and then they're reading their self-help book. Like whatever it is, it feels very like checklisty, and it's very outcome driven. And these outcome driven things are incredible, and they are required to have inner union within your life, in which we do need to have masculine and feminine energy within ourselves. But we can't just be predominantly in one. And when we are predominantly in our masculine energy, that's when we get these hormonal imbalances. That's when you're gonna get the high testosterone, high estrogen. That's when you're gonna get the low progesterone, the acne, the burnout, the stubborn weight. A lot of the symptoms that women are experiencing in our current culture is because we are in absolute overdrive all the time, and we are too much in our masculine energy. So this is where I want to introduce you to reading fiction books. I know it sounds so silly, but it really is one of the gateways to feminine spaciousness. So let's dive into this concept of feminine spaciousness so you can kind of understand it a little bit more, and also start to identify and integrate this within your life. So one of the keys to not being burnt out, one of the keys to feeling good in your body, to reversing these hormonal imbalance symptoms that you're experiencing, is allowing yourself more spaciousness. So by spaciousness, I do not mean laying on the couch watching Netflix. I do not mean consuming another podcast. I do not mean reading another self-help book or doing another guided meditation to get to a certain outcome. I simply mean creating space. So a good barometer here is that with feminine spaciousness, it needs to be non-outcome related activities, that the purpose is pleasure. Crazy concept, right? I feel like when we're younger, this is our whole life. Our whole life is based on pleasure and what we desire to do. There is so many women who wake up and have like a 10-step morning routine, and they're just checking the whole thing off. And then they go through their whole workday, again, obviously being in their masculine there, and then getting off work. They feel like their husband is like a failure because she is so over functioning that really like anyone around her is going to be under functioning. And then she has this like 12-step nighttime routine, all of which has outcomes. And then she goes to bed. And it's just no wonder that this archetype of women that is so common and so normal. And if you're in this boat, oh my goodness, so was I, has acne. And this is also why I had chronic acne for 10 years. Okay, so what are non-outcome related activities? What are examples of activities or moments that bring us into our feminine spaciousness? The thing here is you don't want to overthink it. Something that I tell my clients a lot is, what did you used to enjoy doing when you were a kid? Or maybe even when you were just in university or high school, what did you enjoy doing? What hobbies did you have? If you really enjoyed dancing, that could be a really, really good place to start. However, if you were just like, I have no idea at all, that is where this video comes in. This is your gateway drug to feminine spaciousness. So what I really recommend as like the easiest things to get started in this work of really rebalancing your body, rebalancing your hormones energetically and stepping out of burnout is taking baths and reading novels. So taking baths, that one's really simple. Not gonna create a video about that. The purpose there is, again, tapping into your pleasure, tapping into what feels good for your body for no reason other than feeling good in your body and really slowing down. So for the bathtub thing, here's the thing. Don't listen to a podcast, don't watch a show. Just like have a nice bubble bath, light some candles, and be alone in spaciousness. Because when you are actually living in your biology, not only is that where your hormones are gonna be balanced, but also that's where you are gonna get your creative ideas rushing through. You're gonna get that next up level for your business. This is where you're gonna get the inspiration for the conversation with your boss. This is going to be where all the answers come through, that instead of just being in our body a lot of the time as women, we're like in our heads and we're trying to think through the outcomes for everything. But if you just allow yourself to slow down and actually be in your biology in the way you were created to be functioning in spaciousness, a lot of the times that's where everything rushes in. So let's talk about reading novels, okay? And why do I recommend novels over self-help books? And let me just tell you, I have read all the self-help books and I am not dissing on them. I'm literally reading a couple books right now about marketing, and I read those during my workday. I make sure that I read those. I have like little time allocated during the day for those, but when I'm going to bed, when I have my feminine spaciousness time, which I recommend literally putting on your calendar, this is about novels. This is allowing myself to live within my biology, because that's really what it is. If we are in our masculine energy and we're reading for an outcome. We're reading to cross something off our list. And also, oh my goodness, like the amount of anxiety and like self-judgment that comes up if you're like reading the 5 a.m. club when you're going to bed is just like, oh, there's so many more things I could be doing. I'm failing. Like the programming that's going into your brain, and when you're in theta state, which is the state that your brain is at right before you go to sleep and you're most actually receptive to what comes into your brain, is just like really cringe, definitely not good for your body, also just not fun. So this is just an invitation to step into more things in your life in devotion to pleasure, because this is going to be in devotion to your biology, and this is going to be allowing for you to reset. Reading novels also allows you to tap back into your imagination. It allows you to tap back into that part of yourself that is so creative. A lot of the times we get out of touch with her as we are adults and we're doing a million things all the time, not creating that space required for imagination to blossom. Because that exact same muscle where imagination comes from is where your creativity comes from. So if you have your own business especially, this is exactly the magic sauce that's going to allow you to stand out in whatever industry you're in. If you are a mother, this is going to help you to connect with your children more. If you are just a woman on this planet, it's going to connect you deeper with your body, allow for you to slow down, really switch into parasympathetic rest and digest mode, and have a lot more pleasure come into your life as well. Because the reality is, if we can expand our nervous system's capacity to hold pleasure, we're also expanding our nervous system's capacity to hold more love, more success, more money. And that is really where living in our biology is so powerful. Okay, I'm sure I've convinced you at this point to be a novel reader. You're like, okay, this seems easy enough. Like, let's see what happens. No damage done. So let's go through my book recommendations. I have so many book recommendations. A lot of them are series. So instead of like bringing all the series to this YouTube video, bring in the first of all the series. And we'll be talking about it a little bit. So my first, my ride or die, my absolute favorite book in the world, A Court of Thorns and Roses This is best book. This book had me in such a chokehold. I think I read this book alone in like a week. And then the whole series, there's a lot of these books. I'm pretty sure there's another one coming out actually at some point. Incredible. Romance, adventure, on the edge of your seat. I want to tell you too, when one of my girlfriends recommended this book to me actually, and when she told me about it, because it's fantasy, there's fairies, there's like bat boys, and when she was telling me about it, I'm like, you know, this really does not feel aligned for me at all. I never read fantasy books. I never read Harry Potter. I was never into any of those things as a kid, but I ran with it. I trusted her. I read them. This is so good. Read it. Definitely read this one, okay? It will take you down a spiral. There's a lot of books in this series. Let's go on to the next one. So same author, Sarah J. Maas. Not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Throne of Glass series. She wrote this as well. They actually are connected, the two book series. So this one's the book series I recommend next. Again, it's a whole series. You know, I'm just gonna be honest, I did not like it as much as A Court of Thorns and Roses, but it might just be like a first love kind of situation and nothing's ever gonna be as good in my opinion. Throne of Glass, Sarah J. Maas. Now, we are still on the fantasy realm, you guys. These two books, similar, different. I feel like there's more spice in A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I appreciate. Throne of Glass, a little bit less spice, but still lots of adventure. We're still in fantasy land. The lands are very different. They connect. Fourth Wing. I'm sure you guys have heard about this because I feel like this is very much trending right now. Fourth Wing is very good. It is a book that is about dragons. It is about another fantasy land that is very good. This author is Rebecca Yarros. There's two books in this series. The first one is I love Fourth Wing a lot. The second book was a little bit harder for me to get through, but we got there. Again, another series, y'all. This one is romance. This is fantasy romance, which I recently learned is called romantasy from Blood and Ash. Very good. Very good series. Lots of love, lots of spice, lots of war. We're in fantasy land again, but a little bit of a different world. You guys, if you go through these book recommendations, this is like a year of your life. Queen's Code. Yes, I realize all of these last three books do not have covers on them. I'm really sorry about that. The Queen's Code is written by Alison Armstrong. I highly recommend this book. You are gonna read this again and again and again because you know what it's about. It's a novel, but it talks about the feminine and masculine energies and polarity within a relationship and how to re-spark your relationship, especially if you're feeling like you are mothering your man or you're in your masculine energy at home. It helps you really repolarize everything. And it's also really validating. It doesn't come from like a judgmental, like, you should know better place. It comes from a really gentle place of, wow, like I've never considered that way because it's written as a novel. So highly recommend if you're wanting to be more in your feminine or you feel like you don't know how to communicate with him or you were like, oh my gosh, I nag him all the time. How do I stop nagging him? How do I get him to take out the garbage? These simple things are answered in this book. I highly recommend The Queen's Code by Alison Armstrong. Okay, you guys are gonna think I am the most basic bee for this one. Elizabeth Gilbert. Eat, Pray, Love. I love this book so much. I've read it so many times. I highly recommend it. We have adventure, we have love, we have all the things that I love. This one's a classic. If you haven't read it, read it. Especially if you're going traveling. I feel like reading books in certain environments that evoke the same essence can be really potent. So if you are going to Europe, if you're going to Bali, if you're going to India, definitely recommend reading this book, having it be your companion. Okay, this book, The Reef by Nora Roberts. I've read this book a million times. I actually got this book the first time I read it, I think was in high school. I read it when I was in Hawaii, and now I bring it with me whenever I go to any tropical location because it is an adventure book. It's about treasure hunting in the Caribbean. It's amazing. It's adventure, romance, suspense. I've read this book a million times and it's just such a classic. Okay, that was my stack. Those are my absolute favorite books that are novels at this moment. I will create another video for you guys about hormone books because I know you're gonna be asking, maybe self-development books. That's for another time. For right now, I care about you and I care about your hormones and I care about you chilling out. So pick out one of these novels. They're incredible. Look them up. see what they're about. But honestly, just start with A Court of Thorns and Roses and you'll be thanking me. So send me a message if you start one of these books. I'd love to hear which one you start. Thank you so much for tuning in for this video. I'm sending you so much love, and let me know in the comments below this video if you've read any of these books. If you have any books that you recommend, I would love to hear what they are because I'm looking for my next read. So let me know below. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope you have a beautiful day. We'll see you next week.